Title: The Unseen Reel. In the heart of a sleepy little town called Meadowvale, there stood an old, crumbling cinema known as the Silver Screen. For decades, this place had been a hub of entertainment, a refuge for cinephiles, and a home to the mysterious magic of film. But as new multiplex theaters emerged, and streaming services took over, the once bustling cinema began to gather dust, its boarded-up windows echoing tales of forgotten flicks. A group of friends, two boys named Max and Lucas, and a girl named Jenna, had long been fascinated by the myths surrounding the Silver Screen. Town folklore spoke of a trunk in the theater's basement that held a collection of unaired movies, films nobody had ever seen, produced during the final years of the cinema's glory. Legends claimed that watching any of these films would unleash the spirits of the actors who had vanished into obscurity. One chilly October night, their curiosity got the better of them. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of adventure, they sneaked into the abandoned cinema. As they entered, the air was thick with dust, and the scent of mold lingered in the back rows where no one had sat for years. "Splendid ambiance," Lucas quipped, wrapping his arms around himself, though his bravado was washed away by uncertainty. "Shush, this is going to be so cool," Jenna Whisper yelled, brushing dust from an old movie poster advertising a long-forgotten romance. As they wandered deeper into the building, they finally reached the basement door. A rusty lock held it shut, but with a little olive oil and the strength of their determined minds, they managed to pry it open with a creak that echoed like a ghostly wail. Inside, the basement was dark and damp, the air was thick with an unsettling energy. In the far corner, half hidden under a tattered tarp, was the infamous trunk. Heart-pounding, Max and Jenna pulled the tarp aside, and there it was, a perfectly intact, albeit extremely dusty, trunk. They exchanged glances, half thrilled and half terrified. Jenna grinned and unlatched the trunk, revealing a collection of dusty canisters. Each was labeled with handwritten titles that sparkled like secrets. One film intrigued her the most, the spectral ones. "Let's watch this," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, the thrill igniting a spark of recklessness. Max and Lucas shared worried glances, but the allure of the unknown pulled them in. "Fine, but just this once," Lucas huffed, hoping any lingering chills would vanish with the clear assurance that this was all just for fun. They found an old projector nearby, cobwebs dangling like forgotten memories. After a few moments of struggle and adjustments, they finally managed to set it up. The lights flickered as the projector whirred to life. The film crackled with the static of age, images slowly materializing on the dusty white wall in front of them. The movie began with blurry images of a group of actors rehearsing lines, their faces tinged with hope and excitement. The premise seemed harmless enough, a story of youthful friendship intertwined with supernatural occurrences. The presence of the spectral ones was playful rather than sinister until the mood began to shift. As the reel turned, the actors' laughter faded, their eyes filled with an unsettling darkness. Jenna felt a chill run down her spine. The friendly spirits turned angry, their playful antics turning towards something ominous. Whispers filled the air around them as the shadows in the film began to contort and twist, wrapping around the actors. Suddenly, a low growl emanated from the projector, and the room shook as the shadows began to spill from the film onto the basement walls. Jenna staggered back as figures emerged, pale and elongated, with eyes born of despair. The ghostly apparitions of the actors taunted them, their mouths moving but no sound escaping. "Turn it off! Turn it off!" Lucas screamed, his bravado evaporating. But the controls of the projector had locked up, the film demanding attention. The shadows lunged forward, fingers stretching toward the trio. In that moment of panic, Max remembered the stories. "Guys, it's the film. It's holding them here," he yelled, pushing through his fear. He grabbed a nearby tool, an old hammer, and swung at the projector, sparks flying as he destroyed its cogs. With a final ear-splitting crack, the film tore, and the shadows screamed with a deafening chorus, retreating back into the ether. The basement returned to an eerie silence, the spirits locking back into the confines of the celluloid world again. Panting, hearts racing, the trio wasted no time leaving the Silver Screen behind. As they burst out into the cool night air, the moon cast a translucent glow on their faces. They never spoke of that night again, but a sense of dread lingered within them, a gnawing reminder of the thin veil between fiction and reality. As for the silver screen, it remained closed and forgotten, but somewhere in its darkened heart, the trunk stood waiting, still holding the cast of the spectral one's asterisk. The spirits of a story that was never meant to be seen. And perhaps, one day, another group of curious souls would wander down into its dusty depths, tempted by the promise of the screen, unaware of the darkness that lay within the unaired stories of the past.